Hey, it's Empress Rose here, and welcome to our collective reading for the week. What lies ahead? What can we expect? I'm going to start off with some oracle cards. It's a mixed deck of Moonology and Work Your Light. That's way too many. Just a couple, please. It wants to say everything. It's like, girl, you haven't been saying anything, so now we got to say it all at once. Okay. Whew. Okay, well, let's start with these. Ooh, I like this. Win-win outcome is forecast. Full moon in Libra. So this is about relationships. This is about, I think, seeing everything in a relationship as far as like getting the full picture. And it's very positive. Like, people are bringing everything that they are to the relationship. There's an exchange, an equal exchange. There's balance that's in a relationship. This may just be a moment. This may be the nature of the relationship. But something is clear, something is seen. There's balance. I mean, as much balance as there can be. The scale reminds me of when my kids were little and we like split something, and I'd use a kitchen scale to split it, and the thing, it was just like, this is as fair as a split is gonna get. Okay, I've got a scale here, I'm trying, but is it gonna be perfect? Absolutely not. So nothing's gonna be perfectly even, and so the sooner we can accept that, even at the age of 6, the better off we'll be. But there will be an overall like balance, and it'll be good enough. It'll be good enough. So and the energy gaining momentum, interesting. And the win-win outcome forecast, that's not necessarily just between two people. Like, I was seeing it a relationship between an organization and a person as well. So we do have the energy gaining momentum. What's interesting too is that we just have the crown chakra represented here. So then I'm going to take these two. So the waxing moon, the energy gaining momentum. So we're getting closer and closer to a positive outcome, a win-win outcome, where you get what you need, the organization or the other person gets what they need. There may be negotiations going on here, but you are approaching some sort of like equilibrium or finality here. And then I like this, full moon in Virgo, new moon in Taurus, so two earth signs here. And they're again the same color. Like, check it out. We got purple and we got green. So we got a little Mardi Gras going on here. Prosperity lies ahead, new moon in Taurus. So this is like real world actions and activities, but we don't necessarily know where they're going to lead or what the end result is going to be, but we're acting in faith. And that was a message I was getting as I was preparing the cards and myself for this reading, was acts of faith. And being faithful to our intuition, being faithful to our dreams, being faithful to maybe some of the intuitive messages we receive. Acts of faith. Faithfulness was something that was really prominent as I was preparing for this. Being faithful to the divine within, and then that reciprocity that can happen. So new moon in Taurus, prosperity lies ahead, but there's still a lot unknown here, and that's what we're seeing here too with the energy gaining momentum. There's still a lot, we're not completed, nothing's completing this week, but there is a lot of movement and a lot of forward motion towards what is the outcome being reciprocal, and the movement is going towards that, but we are still in acts of faith right now. In the real world. And then we have you are good enough, full moon in Virgo. So this is coming in because you may be having doubts about whether you can achieve something. I see like a promotion or a relationship, some sort of milestone being reached, but there's a lot of doubt, especially since we're still in new moon energy. And the win-win outcome is forecast. It has not arrived yet. We're still working on faith. We're still working into the dark. But one thing we do know, one thing that is clear with the full moon, one thing we know completely with the full moon is that you are good enough. You are enough. You don't need to, right, we're always like working on self-improvement. That's what I really see the viewers of my channel and a lot of these channels is wanting to improve self, wanting to, find ways forward that are healthiest for us and healthiest for our community. So even with working on yourself, you're still worthy. There is inherent worth in every person and every being that cannot be taken away by external circumstances or even by your own behavior. Apparently that's a little bit controversial, but it's true. So, all right, and then we have these two from Work Your Light, which is interesting. I like this. We have Anna, grandmother of Jesus, seeding the light, laying foundations, divine plan, right? And we've got energy gaining momentum. We've got acts of faith here. Like in faith of some sort of win-win outcome. We're moving in darkness, but we are headed towards something, a win-win outcome. We need to believe in ourselves, believe that we can do this, believe that we are worthy of, pay for our efforts. We are worthy of love, all of these things. So Anna, grandmother of Jesus, laying the foundation. So what we're doing here is laying the foundation here, especially with this prosperity lies ahead, new moon energy. We're just there is a divine plan. There is, I don't know if plan's really the word, but there is sort of a divine gist that we're going towards, a divine gist here. And this is the precursor, the mom of the divine. This is like, so there could be grandmother energy here. This could be about a grandmother. This could be about a mother. Oh, this is really fascinating. And I'm going to tell you a little story. There's this river here, and there are all these beings sort of in this valley with this river coming through. And I've got incense that the heat has now decided to move in my direction. This is reminding me of the moon. This is really fascinating. Right, she's looking down over this river, over this valley, and she's very happy. I've never actually really noticed the look on her face. There's a pride and joy here. And with these towers here, it's high priestess energy, the individual spiritual connection. Well, individual, like we're all interconnected, but we're having these lifetimes that are a little bit of individuation from the larger connection. But there's a lot of pride here. There's some ancestral pride here. She almost looks like a puppeteer, and she's because she's got these strings coming from her fingertips. There's some orchestration here. Yeah, well, we've got divine plan. There's some orchestration. There's seeds being planted, being moved through a situation. Unknowingly, perhaps. But yeah, she's got these strings from her. So normally this would be like devil energy, contract energy, or, someone else controlling you. But this is so delightful. There's so much joy here in this movement. This is reminding me of a game I play with other actors, of just like the movement of, it's called Puppet and Puppet Master. And one of you moves the other, and the other one has to conform to, you contort the arm and you can turn the whole person. But you're just doing a little wrist motion here. So that's a little bit of what this reminds me of, but it's a very delightful movement. And I think the message coming here is there's some specificity to it too. You have to understand what it is you want for the movement to really follow through correctly. And you have to communicate what you want for the movement to really follow through correctly. And I think that this is, to me, that is my favorite physical exercise with other actors and artists. So But we have this with the prosperity lies ahead. That's what this is reminding me of, is this movement, this very specific, being very clear on how you want to make this small movement and the larger ramification of that and how that echoes out and twists out into a larger effect in reality. And I think that this is actually like Anna, grandmother of Jesus, seeding the light, laying foundations, divine plan. There's that communicating very specifically what you need, communicating very specifically what you want, and allowing for an unfolding from that place, right? So we're not like controlling the whole situation. We're laying a foundation of this is what I need, this is what I want, and then allowing sort of an unfolding with the universe, the co-creation aspect with the universe. So we're saying, we're putting that out there, what we want. And it is really interesting. We make these like small steps and small movements. And sometimes there's just an echo chamber of like, well, a small step, that was indeed quite a small step and nothing happened. And then other times the universe really responds with a much larger movement, so we're just like turning the wrist and the other person is flipping over. And so that was a fun movement to do. But the other thing I wanted to say, so this also reminds me of a vision I had while I was giving birth. So I had visions. So there was this river that ran through the entire universe, and I could see it moving through the stars. And in my mind, it was a river of labor. And people dipped into it. Women were dipping into it, giving birth. And there were other women on however you want to define that, other women on the bank, attending to them, helping them dip in, helping them dip out. And this was the river of birth and the river of like labor. And we see labor very clearly right here as far as some sort of labor. So it's supported work. There's a work that you're doing out of faith. It is part of the larger plan. You may not even realize how much a part of the larger plan it is, and it's supported. And I want to say like, there's like an internal plan that's flowing through the universe, an internal energy. And we're dipping in and out of it in different ways. Like that whole river of labor can be like a metaphor, the difficulties we go through, and to birth new things, which we have this prosperity lies ahead. So to me, this looks like a work or some kind of just very real physical. This isn't just an idea you're having. This is like the idea, understanding what it is that you want, and taking initial actions, or maybe not even initial actions, and you have to take these actions with an understanding that you are a co-creator and you are worthy to co-create with the universe. So, right, in Puppet Master, it is a sort of dance movement between two equals, and then at different points you switch back and forth, and then there's like a reading between the two individuals that creates sort of like a who's in charge kind of situation. It's a little bit like ballroom dancing, except for the lead switches. So Age of Light, you've been training for this for lifetimes. I love this. This has like such a deep background. Whatever movement you're going through here has a deep background, much like that river of labor going all the way through the universe into our like lives at different moments, for us to dip into. It has this like back history that goes all the way back. So it feels, I don't know, this reading feels really big. Sometimes these cards, they're small, right? I have my own little daily practice, and I can expect, the cards to be a little bit small. They're fun, they're interesting. I'm always curious how they're going to unfold in my daily life. But there's a largeness to this movement here. Well, I mean, you've been training for this for a lifetime. So it could be like something that you've been working towards for a long time, something you've been rehearsing, something you've been practicing. We have this sort of repeated shape, the conical shape here. She is the shape here, and then here we're sitting within the shape. So I almost see this as being within here, within this sort of pyramid of light. We're within this protected cloak of the grandmother, and there's a birth within a birth is what I'm seeing here. All right, let us move on to the tarot after that. One last shuffle, a split. And from the bottom of the deck, Knight of Pentacles. I love this too. This is the large plan. This is the river when it's still in outer space as it moves towards the earth. It's moving towards the earth. So we have a knight. He's suited up. He's ready for action, except the Knight of Pentacles doesn't actually move. The Knight of Pentacles plans. I don't want to say procrastinates. I no longer believe in procrastination for myself. Perhaps it's something I believe that procrastination can often be alignment, waiting for a sense of alignment within self, waiting for energies to align. That's what I have discovered for myself. Perhaps you can resonate with that. Perhaps it is really like procrastination for you. I don't really know the difference, given that I'm just having my individual experience here, and it seems to be more about alignment than procrastination. But the Knight of Pentacles, planning, Knight of Pentacles and new moon in Taurus. We've got both these sort of plowing the fields, preparation. This is like your seed plan, your like gardener friends, and they're planning their gardens right now. They're looking at seeds, they're purchasing things, or they're looking at purchasing, they're plotting it out. How are they going to do the crop rotation? What are they going to intercrop? What comes up and is ready in May that can be intercropped with something that's a little slower and won't be ready till September, you know? So there's planning. So overall, this looks to me like the overall plan, like the divine plan, but it's very real. We've got Taurus, Virgo, Pentacles here. This is all very real world stuff, but there's a plan, maybe not moving forward at lightning speed, but moving forward. I just split the deck again. Apparently we needed to do that. Past, present, inner landscape, what's at issue, environment, to-do list, possible outcome. Yeah, well, I'll say, okay, babies, we have, we are actually in a really cool movement, but we can't see it right now, right? So this is what this is reminding me of. We're having the contraction, but we're in this really cool movement that flows through the universe. We're in this really cool flow, but we're currently having a bit of a contraction, which can, present a little loss of perspective on what the overall thing is going on here. So in the recent past, Chariot, we've had movement. Maybe we even took a trip, a journey. There was movement, there was alignment, there were things that came together, cooperated, maybe things like, I'm seeing like a class or something where, like, in a way, the puppet master, in a way, a class like that, or something where we were working with other people, maybe people we wouldn't normally have in our lives, maybe people that were very different from us and just extremely different from us, but we're all moving in the same direction. We all have at least one goal in common, and we're moving over there. So the Chariot to me is coalition building. It is like the Save the Sea Turtle Foundation working with the Teamsters to shut down the WTO, the meetings at any rate. So it's like this sort of maybe even odd bedfellows coming together, and it's just like, well, for now, this is moving forward. There's a cooperation and alignment of desires and goals, and we were able to move that forward. It can also be much more practically a car, a trip, a journey, something like that. But it is like things got coordinated and there was movement. So we have known movement in the past. This is not a foreign concept. Movement and flow, there has been at one point. And what we're talking about here with this sort of pentacle energy does have like work ideas associated with it. So then current situation, oh yes, the Nine of Swords, the Nightmare card, a lot of pokey little ideas that are not working for us. This is sleepless nights with a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear. Our mind is is an unsettling place right now. Our biggest problem right now could be right in our heads, could be these fears, anxieties, right? The swords are thoughts, thoughts and communications. But this has us just off on our own in a dark night of the soul kind of thing, and it's all right in our head. So we're right. Nightmares are so interesting. That's your own brain that's causing you to have a lot of anxiety. So, and then we have anxiety in our day-to-day lives too sometimes. So, anxiety. So maybe you took a trip and there was some fallout, some anxiety and fears and worries based on that. But this could also be just coming out of alignment with something, or being very worried and fearful about things. We have, the depiction is always someone safe in their bed. They are safe. They are in their bed. Physically, the physical is fine. The physical's okay. This moment right now, physically, we could relax, but we can't relax because we got a lot going on up here. What I'm also seeing is these roses on this, there's roses and all sorts of like planetary zodiac signs on this quilt, which is interesting. So I love this for us since I'm doing a general reading, and I'm noticing all those blue squares are all little zodiac signs, little quilted zodiac signs. And then the yellow squares have these like roses in them, which is really interesting because grandmother of Jesus here. So you know how I call my channel Empress Rose. Well, I have a very unique name and it's easy to find, and I have a very religious family, and so the two just did not seem like this was going to be a good idea. So, however, my family name, one of my older family names, is Mother Rose. So I do have the surname means Mother Rose in the original Dutch. So, and there are roses all over this grandmother here. There are roses. Anyway, that was just a side tidbit. It has nothing to do with this reading, but there are these roses here, which is reminding me of this grandmother of Jesus, these roses here. So, and then to complete that thought, Empress being mother, being possibly even grandmother, all these roses, this whole rose garden here, and then the roses on the quilt are very interesting to me because there's comfort in that. There's like some sort of comfort that we can derive during this, like what may feel like a contraction. This is almost like you went to the hospital and now you're like, I hate this. Get me out of this contraction. Very painful thoughts. And so I think that there's some comfort here because there is a comforter, a quilt, a comforter, in some kind of history, in some kind of grandparent figure or ancestors or something ancient about this path that you're on, about this journey that you're on, some ancient thing that I think is the comfort, is what can keep you warm, is where you can find comfort in this situation. It's not in your mind, but it's in, I think, the faith in the divine plan, because your mind is a war zone right now. There's like, or could be, right? If all these swords were being wielded, we'd have a bloodbath on our hands. I mean, luckily they're all like on the shelf and stowed away, but yeah, it's keeping us up at night. But there is like some comfort here available to us, but it's not in our minds. It is not in our minds. So inner landscape, we just have a lot of like options, or a lot of, I think it's confusion. 7 of Cups, confused about what's going to make us happy, confused about what we want. There are a lot of cups in this reading. There are 17 total. There are 19 cups. There are 19 cups total. And there are 8 pentacles. 19 cups and 8 pentacles. So we have all these cups in our mind. There's a lot of options. What should we do? How are we going to be happy? Maybe we're weighing our options. These two together are not peace of mind. These two together are anything but peace of mind. This is in our mind, just looking at this, there may be one option that's like intuitive, that it's what we want. It may not make sense, and this could be bothering us. I don't know if you've ever had that experience when your intuition is like, yeah, and your mind is like, what? No, that's not right. Everyone's gonna think we're idiots. This isn't the way, the book said to do this. But there is like we might be having an intuitive sense of where we want to go with something and what we want to do with something, but there are a lot of options. So this could be weighing the options of like, sometimes life has sort of this, is sort of like a tangled up necklace, and it's going to take a little bit of thought and pulling and delicate stuff to sort of untangle the sort of options, the nightmare. So this is about thinking through what's going to make us happy, making decisions, debating. It's not making, the debate aspect here is not making us happy. The decision aspect here is not making us happy. There's some unknown option though. We can't see what it is. But this unknown is sort of the most appealing thing. Everything else is like, okay, I can kind of see how that unfolds. Okay. That looks expensive. Okay, that looks safe. Okay, that looks dangerous, honestly. Okay, that looks attractive. Lots of people will admire me if I do that. But then there's like this unknown option, and it's like you might be feeling called towards some sort of unknown, but it just doesn't make sense, and it's creating a little bit of an issue for you. What's at issue here? The star in reverse, not feeling very hopeful. Well, yeah. Not feeling very hopeful, and like seeing some option that's like, what the hell is that? That even seems like the most obvious option, and I can't even tell what it is. So star in reverse, not feeling like there are reasons to hope. The future doesn't seem, maybe you have what you need today, but the future doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. The star card is just like not seeing the way forward, which we totally get with this like confusion card, and then the 9 of Swords and the 7 of Cups is like just not really seeing a way forward. Well, maybe at one time you saw a way forward, at one time something seemed to be flowing in the right direction, but there's no flow here. There's no sense of something that follows. There's no place to invest. There's a sense of not being able to invest your energy. There's a sense of something being dammed up, right? Because we have this river too, this sort of cosmic river that's meant to be flowing, but it doesn't feel like it's flowing. You do not feel like you're in the flow of something. So we have all these flows, and you feel not in the flow. I don't think it's possible to be out of the flow, but I think it's possible to feel like you're not in the flow, to feel like you're not progressing, to feel like labor has stalled on something, like it's all taking too long, or it's just too painful and too difficult. Right, and with this slow movement and this overall plan, I mean, I can easily see how there'd be a sense of hopelessness with this Knight of Pentacles, like, just move, sir. Just move. And it's like, nah, we're not moving. We did move, but there's not a lot of movement right now. So there could be a sense of hopelessness creeping in. Trying to figure out which direction you should go, if any, right now. It's just kind of, the head's a mess. And it's sort of seeping into the heart, too. The heart's starting to get a little confused, too, because the whole situation just seems like something that you'd hoped and at one point maybe was flowing has just been dammed up, stopped. You can't see the stars. It's a foggy night. It's a dark night. There's no stars. There's no moon. There's not a lot of reasons to hope here. But the foundation just seems so foundational. Like, yeah, okay, we have a foundation. That's good. It's like a house that's like, they poured the foundation and then ran out of money. So there's just been a foundation sitting on this really great, like, lot for, 10 years. I remember this house where I used to live, where that's what it was. It was like, well, that's going to be gorgeous, but no one can fix it. No one can work on it. The owners, ran out of money or got divorced or whatever, caused this pause here. And it's just like, wow, that could be really cool, couldn't it? Things could get moving again if that dam could be opened up and some of this water could head downstream for a minute. And then in your environment, that's exactly what we're talking about. There's a pause. Wasn't even thinking. But again, we have another 7 here. Oh my gosh, we have 3 7s. Okie doke. Well, I'm going to have to take a pause and go look at that. Okay, so that's not a situation that comes up often, so I don't really have it memorized, but I do know exactly where to look for it. 3 sevens in a spread means agreement will soon be made, contract agreed upon, or an alliance formed. So here we have win-win outcome forecasts headed towards that. So, well, that's good. That's great. I like that for us. All right. So that's really positive. But in the meantime, we've lost some hope and we're kind of in a nightmare situation. We're very worried about a lot of different aspects of our life. And then the dream is moving so slowly, we can hardly tell. But we're being reassured multiple ways that it's still moving. It's just stopped right now. It's really interesting. There's this part of labor, natural labor, where it's called the transition phase. So your contractions to like move the baby into position and we haven't started pushing yet. And so there's just this kind of weird pause. I remember just feeling like, where am I? Like, let's look at the map of how this, and they didn't, I had a little chart of like what was supposed to happen when, and nothing made any sense. And because my labors were not in a pattern. They never were regular. So, but there's this weird like no man's land in labor where it's just like those types of contractions have ended and the pushing hasn't begun. So where the hell are we? What no man's land? So that's a little bit of what this feels like, some sort of no man's land situation. But it's not. It's part of the overall. It's part of the whole process. So yeah, there's a pause. Like someone's waiting on something. We're waiting. Oh gosh, talk about the gardener. We've got the Knight of Pentacles, and this is the gardener waiting for the fruits of their labors to show up. So this is the environment. It could be like some other part of the process is waiting on something, on hearing back from someone who's on vacation, or that's exactly the transition phase that I was just describing. Is like, what's going on here? Like this part of the work is over. The plowing, planting, even weeding is kind of over, and like what now? So it's like this transitional phase. This is the patiently impatient card, just like, all right, but the fruit's going to be ready when the fruit's going to be ready. You know, some fruit is okay to pick when it's unripe, but some of it's just going to have to wait till it's time and its moment, because if you pick it when it's unripe, it's never going to get there. So this is the waiting for something to ripen. So yeah, sitting under this chariot, this waiting, there was a lot of movement. I almost can see this as like the plow in the field, the horse-drawn plow, like really, making some progress. Here we have the overseer overseeing this vision. And then now we've got some sort of like, a lot of the action is done. And now there's just this waiting period. So while you wait, we have 10 of Cups here. So just be happy, enjoy, celebrate. This is like a taking time out. This depicts a separation from day-to-day life. This little line here has some sort of on a stage, right? It's like for 2.5 hours, we're going to be happy. We have the rainbow after the storm. We have the joy after difficulty. I love how this 9 is a nightmare and this 10 is like, it's like turn your frown upside down, kind of a little bit simplistic there, harder to do, but so yeah, there's just this like, we have the river, we have the flow, we have the family enjoying the fruits of your labors, enjoying the children after the labor, right? There's a lot. Labor keeps coming up here. Some kind of labor, some kind of work keeps coming up here. And we have this like sort of the flow of life, and this river here and this river here. And in a way we have this 10 of Cups, this happiness. So what we're doing here is choosing to focus on what we have, trying to be happy, just enjoy. If there's success coming your way, really enjoy this moment. Wow, that's a tall order, right? We don't have anything happening in your environment. We have, in fact, nothing happening. We have this slow moving energy, but you don't feel like there's reasons to have hope, but there's just this happiness. But I find this really funny. Like, Thanks, Tarot. Like, when was the last time you understood the human experience? I mean, it is like the human experience in cards, and just where are we at in a way? In a way, we look at these cards like, you know, how I looked at the sort of labor plan, and like, where are we and how the contraction should be going. And the cards can give us some sort of guidance, but in reality, our lives are so unique that there are these markers. There are like these, you know, these 86 situations. Why do I feel like I can't remember how many cards there are in a tarot deck? So there are like these 86 situations, and we all find ourselves in sort of similar like storylines, but in the same way, like, we can have this idea here, and then the individual results will vary. So anyway, you're being asked to go from nightmare to joy. Like, I'm sorry, but this is really funny. Like, this is just like, yeah, just flip that coin. Super easy to do, right? Just mentally flip that coin, go from nightmare to joy. But there is some tricks to the focus here. Like, all these worries, all these fears, and this is the focus. Count your blessings. Name them one by one, and count your 10 blessings every day. That actually, Seligman has some really great work on that and some research on that. He wrote Learned Optimism, and then one of the follow-up books talks about how we really implement that. And one of his things is, at the end of the day, write down 3 things that you felt went well that day, and then why you thought that went well. Like, did that go well because you waited until you were in alignment with how you needed to go, and then it flowed better? Or, you know, if you're religious, you can attribute anything to that. You can be like, because Jesus was by my side and helped me with this problem. It doesn't matter how you attribute it. It'll actually strengthen your faith in whatever faith that you have. So there is like this win-win outcome as forecast, and I would be focusing on that. I would be counting your blessings. I would be enjoying what moments there are to enjoy and really milking them. 10 of Cups, be happy. So if there is a change, if you do receive, if this, as we're heading towards this, as this win-win outcome is gaining momentum, as we're building, continuing to build, this like, you are good enough. You know, experience the joy, pop the champagne, enjoy this moment. We've got life flowing, continuing to flow over here, but we can take a moment out and really have some joy here. Possible outcome, this is soulmate energy, 2 of Cups. We've got a real meeting of the minds. And soulmate, I don't mean like necessarily everything forever soulmate, but it is, we have again that separation line, the 2 on the stage, you know, the 2.5 hour meeting of the minds, the 2.5 hour sharing experience here. So that's a possible outcome here, is that there's really going to be some deep sharing, but both of these people seem kind of upset. But look, it's like there's the same little house on the hill in the background over here. This one's like, there's a fullness to life, and this is sort of like 2 people taking a time out. This reminds me of like a family reunion, and then like you and your cousin you were close to when you were little go out for a smoke or something. Walk down the street, go get something from the bar down the road, go for a drive, and have a more one-on-one, heart-to-heart here out of this group in celebration. So there's a really good, beautiful meeting of the minds here. There are 2 people that are sharing joys and concerns with each other. Today they just look very concerned. So there is sort of some heart-to-heart about maybe some of these worries and concerns, but there is deep connection. I think you're tapping into your joy after this storm, and maybe after this anxiety, really embracing life, life-affirming actions and movement for the joy after the storm, the baby after the labor. It always amazed me that we have to, after all of that labor and all of that exhaustion, now you care for a child, which is a 24, like you go from one really intense job to another really intense job, and there's not a break in between. So, but this is like a deep bonding happening between you and another. So if we want to take our baby metaphor, this is like, yay, we did it. You know, the family's all in the room, and then at some point it's just you and the baby making your lifelong bond, establishing that. All right, this is getting a little long, but I figure I make up for frequency. I make up with just kind of flowing through it. All right. Oh, yeah. I love this one. This is my favorite one. Well, possibly one of the abundant universe will provide. Look at, we've got the win-win outcome, gaining momentum here. Abundant universe will provide that full faith. Yeah, buffalo spirit. More than adequate. More than enough. You are good enough, and the universe is providing more than enough here. The abundant universe will provide. These cards, I feel like, are very good mantras. So, and then we have giraffe spirit. See the big picture. Yeah, don't get bogged down in these little details that we have really bogging you down here, but seeing a bigger picture, seeing a larger picture. The foundation, the overall plan. There is an overall plan. There is a higher vision. Like this could be our little giraffe up here looking down from quite a height, getting quite the overview of what's going on in the savannah down here. We have giraffe spirit, seeing the big picture, getting a much larger perspective while still remaining grounded. You know, it's still a mammal with 4 on the floor here, or as far as hooves. So it's still very grounded. And I love the buffalo spirit too, because it's reminding me of this horse in the Knight of Pentacles. So the abundant universe will provide, and having faith in the future, having faith in the bigger picture. All right, and then a little prayer. And not letting any little glitches really mess with your head too much. That's what I'm seeing here with a couple of these cards together. All right. And then we have dream your dreams. Trust that the desires in your heart are placed there lovingly by the universe. You're meant to dream of what you dream. Well, not the nightmares, but the better dream, the get better dream. You're meant to dream of that. The energy is gaining momentum. There is an overall vision. Trust the vision and trust the universe to be a more than adequate co-creator with you. That's the message. All right, hope that was helpful. I'm not seeing you, but it's good to sort of see you again and get into our energy together. And we'll chat again soon. Have a wonderful week.